Hello everyone. In today's video lecture, I'll be discussing the poem Sundar Bans by Sushil Mandal. The poem is titled Sundarbans. I hope you all know that it's a very famous national park in India. It's a tiger reserve known for the tiger, Royal Bengal tiger. The poem is written by Sushil Mandal, who is actually a Bengali poet. Uh, he works as an English lecturer at Ramakrishna School. He is inspired by Vivekananda, so he works for Ramakrishna Mission, and he also works for Dalits. Now, who are Dalits? It can be taken in two ways. One is the lower caste people, or here in this context, especially in the context of the poem, it also means the tribal community which is living in the forest area. So he works for the upliftment of Dalits. So most of his poems are also talking about the same. Now the poem is written in Bengali, so it is translated by Shishir Roy, who again is an English lecturer and he also works as a journalist. Now poem is pretty simple, but before going to the poem we need to understand certain important concepts and context. Firstly, the human wildlife conflict. Now what happens because of the growing population? The urban area or the area in which human survive or exist, that area is expanding. For example, the Bannerghatta National Park, the city is becoming bigger and bigger. So what we are doing is we are encroaching the forest area. So because of this, there is always a conflict between human and wildlife, especially in the areas where we have forest, right? Bandipur, Dandeli or Sundarbans for that example. And in the outskirts of those forests, the tribal communities live especially. So the more we encroach, the tribal communities are forced to move inside the forest. So in the name of environmental conservation, two things happen. In order to stop this, encroachment is also a problem, because the more we go towards the forest area, we are taking away the property of the wildlife. So what happens, these wildlife will start coming into the city. For example, few years back, we had an incident where a tiger had entered the Vibgaya school in Bannerghatta Road. That's because it did not enter our area. We entered their area because the school was built in the vicinity of a forest. Now we are encroaching the forest land. We are building schools and houses there, and we are complaining that these wildlife are threatening us. But imagine it is their home. We are going to their area. So encroachment is also a problem. Now in the name of conservation, what does the forest department do? It will mark the forest boundary and says, no, it will restrict the entry, and it will say it's a tiger reserve or it is a national park. So only a part of it will be allowed for visitors, otherwise you are not supposed to go into the restricted area. So this will also create problem for Dalits, the tribals, who depend on the forest resources for survival. For example, they may go into the forest to, for agriculture, to collect honey and then sell it, or to collect fruits, vegetables from the forest area. They will sell it and make money out of it. But when the forest department restricts this particular area and says nobody is supposed to go, including the tribals, their survival becomes very difficult. So the tribal communities and the Dalits who are living in and around the forest area, they have two problems. One, they are not able to make a living out of the occupations which is more suitable for city, right? They are not educated, they cannot get jobs in the city area. On the other hand, if they go into the innermost part of the forest, they are attacked by wild animals, so they are dying. So there are innumerable human deaths happening because of wildlife attack. So either, they don't have an option, they have to fight for their survival. So this human wildlife conflict is a very important problem of today. Now what do we do? What is the solution? Nobody knows exactly. Can we give jobs to all these people outside the tribal area? Not really, because we ourselves have unemployment problem. They are not educated enough, and it's like you know, their culture and the city culture is completely different, so you cannot bring those people back here and ask them to adjust to the city culture. So this human wildlife conflict and the problems of the tribal and Dalit community has been the biggest problem of the present times. Now coming to the poem itself, I have given poem in the PPT itself so that it becomes easy for you to understand. The poem starts like this: You coming from Kolkata, sir. So it is addressed by a Dalit of the Sundarbans area, and he is addressing it to a visitor. Here you refers to a visitor who has come to see the national park. You coming from Kolkata, sir. Who sends you here? Now here Kolkata is not just referring to Kolkata but any city. So when people go from cities to the national park or the forest area, for them it is only a tourist place. They are not bothered about the people who live there. They are only bothered or interested in the wildlife, greenery, and so on. So all come to see tigers, but no takers for us. He says, I know why you have come here. Everybody comes to see tigers, the wildlife. Sundarbans, as I said, is famous for Royal Bengal tiger. So everybody comes to see the tigers. There is no takers for us. Nobody is interested in our life, our problems, and our struggle. A lot more things for you here: tigers, crocodile, hental, sundari trees, the mangrove. He says Sundarbans is not just about tigers. You can see crocodile, hental. Hental is a kind of tree. Sundarbans is famous for these trees. The mangrove, the sundari tree. So it's very beautiful to look at. So it's not just crocodile. There are so many things for you. You write poetry on the colorful leaves. So he says you come here, take pictures, you get so thrilled that the ambience is so beautiful, so you start writing even poems about it. Only we black bodies are left unnoticed. You will even look at the leaves. It's not just a huge animal like tiger, not just a huge tree like sundari tree. Even the hental is actually a mangrove. Hental, all these are very small trees. It doesn't grow very tall. Not just the trees, you also make note of the leaves, but only we are unnoticed. You don't look at us at all. And look at the contrast here: colorful leaves, black bodies. So he says you are more interested in things which are colorful, but to you we are just black body, just Dalits living there, and you're not even bothered about us. So nobody takes notice of our life. Our children, poor scavengers, scuffle with the orange peels you have thrown. Scavengers andre people who pick up leftover things, right? So he says our children are like scavengers. They will survive on the orange peel you have thrown. ನೀವು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆರೆಂಜ್ ತಿಂದು ಸಿಪ್ಪೆ ಎಸ್ದು ಹೋಗ್ತೀರಾ, but our children will pick that up thinking they can eat it and survive. Tigers fascinate you, no sir, the Bengal tigers. How wonderful, how is it possible? When you look at the tiger, you're very curious and you think it fascinates you. It's very interesting and you think, oh, wow, it is so wonderful. How can it be so colorful? And that will create interest in. You're fascinated by the tiger. You think, how is it possible? How can a creature be so beautiful? So you're fascinated by it. You never know the secret behind. For you, tiger is just a beautiful animal, but you don't know the problems it creates for human beings like us. You don't know the secret behind. The man-eater guzzled a lot. Here, man-eater refers to tiger. So for the visitors, tiger is a very beautiful creature. But for the people who are living there, it's a threat, it's a danger, it's a man-eater. It has eaten so many people, it has killed so many people. And he goes on to name a few: Haripada, Subal, Fateh Ali, and he intentionally is using names from different communities, because for tiger they're all the same, right? They're all the same. It doesn't matter whether the person is a Dalit or a Muslim or a upper caste. It goes on eating everybody who is who goes into the forest area. How many shall I count? Haripada, Subal, and Fateh Ali are just the names I can remember. There are so many, and how many can I count? How many can I remember? Subal's wife hanged herself last year, couldn't bear the fangs of hunger. Subal died because the tiger attacked, but after some time even his wife committed suicide because she could not, you know, uh, fight for her survival. She was a widow, she did not have money. Now Subal goes into the forest and he tried to get honey or any something that he can sell and make money out of it. But now that he is gone, she is not able to take care of herself and the family. So she could not bear the hunger, so she committed suicide. And Subal is just one example. There are so many other people like this. What could we do? And he says, what can we do, sir? Because even we don't have money. If at all we have money, we will give it to her. But when we ourselves are struggling for food, how can we help others like Subal or his wife? All we can do is we wait for the minister to come. Every time there is a news that somebody committed suicide or there was an attack, ministers go visit. Otherwise they are not bothered about the state of the Dalit. So he says all we can do is to wait for them to come and visit us. He came once a year ago. He says he came. It's not that he did not come at all. He came, but when? A year ago. That means he is visiting probably only once in a year or once in 2 years, because that's how ministers are, right? They don't visit the cities only. They don't come to us until the times of election and forget about going and visiting the Dalits in the forest area. He says he came once 1 year back. He promised that the Sundarbans will transform. He came here and he promised that he is going to transform this Sundarbans. He is going to transform the area. He is going to make the place better. But I think it was only for election. Like the Baravase, like the promises these politicians do during the times of election, it did not happen actually. We beg you, sir, go tell him kindly. Now he says, the visitors, go tell him the state here, because he is not going to come here again. Probably he will come only during the times of election. He will not come here again. So I want you to pass on this message to him. Go tell him kindly, our stomachs are full. He says, go tell the ministers that we are full, our stomachs are full, we are no longer hunger. But what is the stomach full of? With the brine water from flood. Our stomach is not full because of the food we got, as the minister promised, but it is full with the brine water. Brine water is the sea water, or the water that comes in the form of flood. There was flood also recently. And why does the flood happen? Because of the cutting down of trees, right? Now because of the development, in the name of development, in the name of infrastructure, people are cutting trees. The government itself is cutting trees. So the Dalits say they have cut trees and this has led to flood. Tell him that our stomach are full, not with the food but with the flood water. So basically the poem is trying to tell us how pathetic the condition of a Dalit is. There is a forest is full of resources, but the Dalit who's living near the forest is going hungry, because that's the state of Dalit today in India. Now there are certain important points you need to remember. As I told, poem as such is pretty simple, but it is making a very important statement on certain things. Firstly, the life of Dalits, how pathetic the condition is. Though they live in the forest which is full of resources, they do not have access to it, and to go and get, to access those resources, they are risking their life, but there is nothing else they can do. And nextly, the struggle for survival. For them, every day is like a battle. Once they go into the forest, they don't know whether they'll be able to come back or not. And look at the names, the list he gives: Haripada, Subil, Fateh Ali, and he says, how many can I count? So it's not only one or two people who have died. But can they stop when they get to know that Haripada died? Can they stop going the next day? Not really. They know that there is risk, but still they have to go. Otherwise, they have to be hungry for the rest of their life. So for them, every day is like fighting for survival. They are not even talking about luxury. For them, it is only survival. Now people who are going and visiting the forest, for them it's a luxury. Now there is the difference between need and luxury, right? Need is the basic things like food, shelter, health. Now luxury is like, if you are able to go on a trip, then you are having a luxurious life. So while there is one group of society who are able to go to trips and visit different places, there is another part of the society who is even able to have food every day. So for them it's like a struggle. They are fighting only for the survival, not even for development, not even for economic freedom. They are only struggling for basic survival. They know that once they go to forest they may not come back because their life, they are fighting with the wildlife. But do they have an option? Not really. The third thing, how government or everybody for that matter ignore the plights of Dalit. Plights and the struggle, the troubles that they are going through. People who go to visit these places, so he is talking about two things. One, a common man who is going to visit Sundarbans, he is not worried about the life of the tribal there. For he is mainly worried about the wildlife. He take few pictures, he write poems, and he comes back. He doesn't care about the people who are living there. Now imagine, at least to, I mean, especially going to national parks, okay, it's not cheap. It takes it is expensive. If you are capable of spending so much on a trip, you can at least give them some money when you come back. But how many of us do that? So even common man are very negligent towards the plight of the people. And next he talks about how government treat. Politicians go once in 5 years, makes promises, but then they will not even look back. They don't even know the struggle they are having, the Dalits are facing. So both the common public and the government, both are neglecting the problem. They are ignorant towards, they just not want to take care of the Dalits life. See, whenever there is a trouble, whenever there is a problem, okay, into the human society, the section that gets affected the most is the tribal or the poor section, the tribe, the Dalit section. Even now in the times of corona, we, the middle class people or the rich, we are staying at home comfortably, we have food to eat. So we can't even imagine why is lockdown a difficult thing. But there are other section of the society who don't have food. Government is giving free food, but how, ಎಷ್ಟು ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ಏನು ಕೊಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ? It is not reaching everybody. Migrant laborers are traveling from one place to another. They are traveling by foot, they are walking for 150 to 200 kilometers. Recently a lady called Gangamma died because of starving. She did not have food, she did not have money to buy food, she did not have work to do, so she died because of starvation. So whatever the problem is, whether it is flood, whether it is earthquake, whether it is times like corona, the section which gets most affected is the poor section, the Dalit and the lower caste section. So even when it floods, right, people are cutting trees in the name of development and infrastructure. But the one who cut the trees, I mean the government, the ministers or the industrialists, they are not facing any trouble because they are living in cities. People who live in and around that area are the ones who get affected the most. Even when tsunami happened, though it was a huge flood, it came to the cities too, but people who died were those who were near the area of the tsunami, that is those who were on the shores of the sea. So it is always the poor, the Dalit or the lower section of the society that gets affected. Since the middle class or the upper section is not getting affected, people are not bothered about the actual trouble. So though the poem is pretty simple, it is making a very important statement on the division in the society, division between the rich and the poor, division between the powerful people like the politicians and the powerless people like the Dalits. Thank you.